I'm guessing, could it have been at the Chinese theater for the Earth Mom thing?
Oh, it probably was.
I mean, that's like 4 or 5 years ago.
It must have been because it was before the pandemic, right?
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah. I think we did. And that was after Mrs. Fitzgerald, I think. Or I don't know if yeah, you know what?
I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
But oh, you know what? So let me do my introduction. This is the Dave Bean is a C-List Actor Zoomcast with my very special guest, Judy Clement. Welcome, Judy.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
I mean, other people call you Judy. To me, you'll always also be Fiona Fitzgerald, my long-suffering wife, who to this day is still apparently kidnapped out there. So since we never were able to close the door on that case.
Yeah, that was too bad, but I'm glad I'm alive.
Yeah, well, we all are. We all are. So let's kind of start with like your start. You're from North Carolina, is that correct?
I am.
Yeah, yeah.
From a small town in North Carolina, a long way from Hollywood.
Yeah. And what was the biggest town? Because I find that like people say a small town, if they mention the biggest town and I've never heard of the biggest town, then that's a small town. So what was your small town?
Well, it's Forest City. There's only like 6,000 or 7,000 people. Okay. Charlotte was an hour away.
Okay.
For that. And Asheville was a little more than an hour in the other direction. So those were our big cities.
Okay. Did you ever have an accent like some of the folks from Carolina do?
Oh yeah, I can do that anytime you want.
There it is.
But
that's great.
It's right there, but
do you fall into that when you go? Do you go home? Do you visit back there?
I do.
Yeah.
I love my family. Most of them are still there, and I get there at least twice a year for Christmas and summer.
Yeah. Do you fall? Because when I have the rest of I'm from Boston originally, but I was able to shake that wicked cool accent. But the rest of my family still all sound like they're right there in Boston. So, but when I go back there, they come here and visit. All of a sudden, it just comes out. It's like a whole other language.
It's so easy, isn't it, when you're back?
Yeah. So I don't know if it's that I'm suppressing it subconsciously and it's just a habit, or if they bring it out of me. But so let me ask you this: when was it? You don't need to be like perfectly specific, but when you're a little girl or a young lady or whatever, and at some point you saw something, or whether it be on stage or television or film, where it must have hit you that those folks are playing pretend. That's not really happening, and that seems like something that I might want to do. Do you recall anything like that? A pivotal moment?
I hadn't thought about this in a long time, but yes. It's gonna make me cry.
Oh.
When Patty Duke played Helen Keller,
and
I knew she was acting, but it was such a beautiful movie, and she moved me as a child.
Yeah,
and I just thought, wow, that's powerful. I'd love to. Do that. I don't know how old I was, but I was pretty young.
Pretty young. That was The Miracle Worker then?
That's it.
With Anne Bancroft.
Anne Bancroft.
Oh, and Patty Duke. Yeah. Oh no, I've seen that many times, and I agree with you. Yeah. So that touched you, obviously both emotionally, as it still does, but it also kind of made you realize that maybe you wanted to be the one up there doing that?
Yes. Well, and I had a Patty Duke obsession for a while, so
right. Well, why not? Because after all, Patty loves rock and roll and a hot dog makes her lose control. Right? Wasn't that the theme song from the Patty Duke show?
Uh, I don't remember that, but I remember the da 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 da.
Yeah.
With
Patty
the
likes to
twins
rock
and
and roll, a hot dog
cousin.
makes her lose control. What a crazy pair.
Yes,
Cousins.
you're a Patty
Identical
Duke fan
cousins.
too.
Oh yeah, we never missed that show. We never
Oh,
missed that show. But still, even when I used to watch I'm telling you the truth, Judy, we never missed it. We loved it in our house. The dad was William Shallard.
yes.
That the boyfriend who had the crush on her was Eddie Applegate. And then there was Patty playing herself and her identical cousin, which even then I was like,
I know.
identical cousin, eh?
Yeah. Didn't
I
she
don't
have a
know.
British accent or something?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, she played. Patty was the girl from Brooklyn Heights. So she's the New York suburban girl, and her cousin, now that I have to think about what her character's name was like the snooty, London girl with the over the top posh accent who always looked down at her, her
Yeah,
rock and roll and the fact that she liked to eat hot dogs as opposed to crepe
right.
Suzettes. I think that was in the theme song too. Something about crepe Suzette. It's the only way I don't even know what it is.
Yes. Wow, you are really good at this memory stuff.
Well, I grew up on the same. I'm probably I'm, and we don't have to
We're not
like,
gonna go there.
we're not going to go there, but yeah, I was the second I identified that there was something called television and then movies. I was like, oh, and baseball. I said, okay, I've got my life set. As long as I would like to play baseball every single moment that I'm out, alive, breathing. But if I can't, then I want to be inside watching television or going to the movies. Those
Yeah,
were, and amazingly, talk about a blessed life. That's pretty much the way it's gone for me. So,
perfect.
you
Well
know,
executed, Dave.
Thank you. And that's all the time we have for today, folks. Thank you. I want to thank. So no, don't go away. Um, so all right, so you got that germ of the bug bit you in terms of acting. What how did you go about? Did you start acting as a kid, as a child, or high school, the drama department? What was it that when you first started going on stage?
Well, I remember my first grade play,
Mhm.
um, and I was a bride doll or something, I don't know, but uh, it was just very exciting to me, much more so than the other people in the class.
Mhm.
And I just felt at home up on that stage, and I told my mom I wanted to be a movie star because I didn't know probably the term actress. I just knew movie star.
Right. Movie star.
And uh, and I think she humored me, since I was maybe 6 or something.
Oh,
But I'm sure she realized later that I was more serious about it because whenever there was a play, a school
mhm,
play, I
mhm.
was in it. And I was really fortunate in a small town that we had an arts council that was very active and put together these big shows, um, mostly musicals. That's how I started
Yeah,
loving musical theater.
right.
Jesus Christ Superstar and South Pacific and Camelot, West Side Story,
Right.
all
The
kinds of
classic.
shows like that with
Yeah.
really pretty good production values for a small town.
Wow, that's
And
great.
yeah, I feel very fortunate.
And did you have the lead roles in those? Because I don't know that I've ever heard you sing, but were you like a lead in those plays?
Well, this was community theater.
Right.
So there was a group of adults that, got the big
Oh,
roles.
yes, of course, yes.
So I was happy just to be
Yeah,
in the ensemble of the chorus. You can still
right.
learn a lot from that.
Right.
And,
So when was it, as now we're getting a little older, when was it that you finally got, like, whether it be in high school, college, where you got like a real meaty acting role? Where did that happen?
Hmm. Um, the meaty stuff, I guess there were a few high school
Right,
productions where
okay.
like Our Town and The Crucible.
Right, the usual stuff. That's great. That's terrific. That's terrific.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I went to governor's school when I was a junior, and that was enlightening.
Yeah. Was that like a private, it sounds like it'd be like a real, you know,
It's
East
something
Coast
you have to
private.
audition for.
Oh, okay. Is it more like a performing arts sort of a school?
It's a summer course. In
Oh,
North
okay.
Carolina, they still do it. It's great.
Yeah,
And they select students from all different areas, and you're all
mhm,
there. So you have
okay.
friends in
Yeah.
music and arts and math and
Okay.
English, and that
Okay.
was really
Very
great.
cool. That's
Um,
great. So that kind of gave you a taste of performing, and then when you went on to college, were you did you did you study theater in college? Was that your main
I
deal?
did
Yeah.
at that point. I started out thinking I was maybe going to teach drama or something.
Okay. All right. Which is not, especially for those of us who didn't grow up around any professional theater or professional acting people, because I know for me, it didn't really seem like a real job that people could get. I'm in, as either I was outside of Boston or outside of when my family moved to Detroit, and I'm in suburban Detroit. I mean, who did we know? And the people that were on
Right.
screen were like, do they eat like I eat? Do they have blood running through their veins? I couldn't be one of those. You know what I mean? Did you have
Yeah.
that same sort of thing? Yeah, so maybe it was a safer choice because we all had drama teachers, so that was a real thing.
Well, and it was also to appease my parents because they were
Right.
good enough to pay for my college education, but were worried that
You
I,
wouldn't you wouldn't have anything to eat or any place to live if you actually pursued
yeah.
this. Yeah, this is it's a very, very normal story. The parents, they want safety and security for us, you know.
I understood that, and
Yeah.
not really
And
in their wheelhouse. I was kind of the black sheep.
now
Um,
I can't see, wow, you were the black sheep in that family? I
well,
can't,
as far as being in the arts,
okay,
you
okay. Yeah. I was going to say, because you never really, I never, I don't mean to profile, but you don't seem like the bad girl. Yeah.
oh, I didn't mean black sheep like the bad
Oh,
girl.
okay. I was
Just,
picturing Olivia Newton-John in Grease, teasing John Travolta and stomping out the cigarette and, you know,
oh, right,
eating
yeah.
him on that sort
I'm
of.
not Rizzo, so.
Yeah, yeah. That's great. That's great. So, but at some point, did I see that there was a little circle in the square in your acting background? I mean, that's a pretty
Yes, I mean,
prominent.
I kind
Yeah,
of went along with the heading toward the teaching thing, but yeah, part of me knew I was not really the teaching type.
right.
So I ended up um, majoring in theater and communications. So I had
Okay,
the speech stuff too. But
right.
in the summers, I really um, wanted to focus on the acting stuff. So one summer I went to Parkway Playhouse, which is what my university had for students in the summer. And that was great because,
Right.
it's like a different show every week and a half or something. And
Fantastic.
you do
Yeah.
everything. I just immersed in all the art stuff, and I loved
They're
it.
like a repertory theater.
Exactly.
You're always on stage doing something and also in rehearsals for the next thing that's coming
And
up.
sometimes you're selling the tickets or
Right,
making costumes,
right, right.
and it was fun to see what goes on,
Yeah.
what it takes to actually put on a show, makes you appreciate the stage managers and the people that are
Oh,
costuming you and all that stuff. So,
oh,
so I,
that's brilliant.
I did that. And then another summer, I studied at Circle in the Square for the summer, and that was great. It was my
Wow.
first time in New York City. I
Right.
still can't believe I did that back when
Yeah.
you had no cell phones or internet.
Right.
Somehow I navigated how to do this and flew up there and just loved it
Right.
because you're studying all day, you go to Broadway shows, you're making new friends that are feeling the same way you are, and that was great. So the more integrated I got into this, the more I mean, it's still hard to imagine being able to make a living at that, but
Right. Right. Right.
I wasn't, could not picture myself really being a teacher.
Right.
And as it turned out, fate, thank God, in my senior year, um, by this time, I was much more into the musical theater. The You had asked me about my juicy role at Parkway
Yeah.
Playhouse. Dr. John Joy, God love him. I didn't really have any singing training, and I wasn't sure I could do it. And
Right.
auditioning for South Pacific, and I didn't really pick the right song. And
Yeah.
so he just said, try wash that man right out of my hair and just
Right.
let it
Right.
go loud. And I
Right.
did it, and it was like, was that me? And
That's
it
great.
opened up my world. And
Yeah.
so then I got a lead in Dames at Sea that summer. So
Terrific.
that just really helps your confidence and
Yeah.
broadens your horizons if you
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
I can sing. And
Hey, great.
so back to my senior year, I wanted to work in a theme park show.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember Carowinds and Six Flags?
Oh, yeah. 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 I don't. Yeah.
Southern.
Yeah.
And they had a show, just like a 45-minute Broadway review, and
Sure.
usher in all the people, and you have a break, and then do it again like 6 or 8 times a day. And they were having auditions
Mm-hmm.
my last semester for Carowinds in Charlotte, and I got it. It's like a singer dancer kind of thing.
Right.
And I was so excited. And they started rehearsals about when I was supposed to be. Actually, no, I actually did go through student teaching,
Right.
which was
Okay.
also helpful to know that
Right.
not really.
That you were can I let me just ask you this. Let me forgive me for interrupting, but this is just my curiosity since I always wear, as you know, I have multiple hats that I wear in this creative career of mine. So the actor part of me is totally understands that. I don't want to teach, I want to do, not that you can't do both, and some people are blessed to have that, but I never had the teaching gene. All I wanted to do was like, hello, my baby, hell, I wanted to be, I think that
As
was
you should, but you can also direct and write and produce.
so that, and that is, so the part of me, and I know this is a while back, but do you remember those shows that you did at like a Six Flags? Were they covered under a union? This is talk about an esoteric question. Was that an AGVA contract? Do you remember American Guild of Variety Artists? Was that any kind of a union that oversaw those things that you
It
recall?
was-
It's not important. It's just, this is just me. I'm sure it's not the least bit interesting for anyone. But-
It was King World or Dominion or something like
Yep.
that.
Yeah,
There
okay.
was another Virginia show. I don't
Yeah.
know about a union. I just know that
That you
I was
did,
getting a paycheck
right.
performing. which
How
was-
did that feel, drawing a paycheck from performing? Huh?
It was incredible.
Yeah, yeah.
And we started the show before I could take my teacher's certificate exam, so I never took it and never
Good
went
for you.
back. So,
However, kids, stay in school, take all the exams.
oh yes,
But Judy missed that one, and I never took the SAT.
really?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I took the PSAT. I took the ACT, which I guess is an alternative to the, you know what? But somehow, knowing who I am, I probably had a ball game on the day when the SATs were being administered. And, and I'm sure Mr. and Mrs. Bean, God bless them, were off doing something else because,
Didn't remind them that you had a test or anything.
I did not remind them, absolutely. And I was like, okay, gotta go, clunk.
Oh.
But
So did you start performing right out of high school then?
I wanted to go immediately. And I was one of those kids just a little bit younger than the rest of the class. So when I graduated high school, I was 17. And I wanted to hightail it to New York right away, instantly.
Wow.
One of the few times that my parents ever laid down the law with me, they said, you're going to go to college first and graduate. And then if you want to go to New York and waste your life, you can do it. But all of my kids are going to be college graduates. So I went off to college and ended up with a degree in history and political science.
Wow.
Two subjects that I like a lot, but I also made my way hanging out with the theater. I was never a theater major, but I was in plays and things like that in college. And then as soon as I don't know if I was finished with college, but I auditioned for and got a regional play. It was, I can't remember because it's a play that often has two titles. It was either Wonderful Town or My Sister Eileen. One of them is the non-musical version of the other. This was okay. I'll if is it okay? Because I love this.
It sounds familiar, but I couldn't.
This is my, I want to say Rosalind Russell starred in it in the 50s in one of those movies. But my character's name was Frank Lippincott, and he was supposed to play the soda jerk typecast, minus the soda. But he was, but he was the comical cut up, and he had a song and he had a dance. Now, one thing that I wasn't at all was musical theater trained at all. Unlike most of my wonderful and amazing friends like yourself, I don't really have the musical gene. I never really cared a whole lot for musical theater. I've seen a few. I have like three or four, give me some Jesus Christ Superstar, give me West Side Story, give me Godspell, and give me Grease and Hair, and I'm happy. That's all. I just need to see those 4 or 5 over and over again, and I'm good. But this was a musical, and I thought, yeah, but the comedic part for this Frank Lippincott character is so good that maybe I was, how old was I? 22, 23 years old. I auditioned for it. They had the choreographer in there, and he gets up there, and you get these lines of people, not a dancer at all. And of course, I am fascinated by dancers because the choreographer standing up front, if you just think of like a chorus line, 1, 2, 3, 4, and he does a whole bunch of things like this. And the next thing you know, everybody knows how to do that instantly. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I swear I didn't get one step right. Everybody, you couldn't have parodied it any better on SNL. Everybody's going this way. I'm going this way. I'm looking over my shoulder. Or Lucy, right. I'm like I'm about 5 beats behind everybody else.
But you probably got all the laughs.
Well, yeah, but you're not supposed to get the laughs for your dancing,
Okay.
but I did. So yes, you're getting off. They're like, okay, very good, people. We'll give you a call. Everybody's stepping off the front of the stage. The director's on one side, the choreographer's on the other side. I'm like the last one off the stage, and I'm hearing the director, choreographer saying to the people, "Get nice job, good work, good work. We'll be in touch. Are you free? Are you available?" I step off. They both stopped. And they looked at me, and the director said, "Very courageous, Dave." And I was like, okay. So I left.
Oh,
Couple of days later, I got a phone call. Guess what? You got cast. We're casting you in the show, and you're gonna play Frank Lippincott. And you'll be happy to know we cut out all your dancing and all your singing. We'll see you at rehearsal on
wow.
Saturday. So that was
That had to feel great. You must have
oh
really
yeah,
impressed them.
yeah. Well, I think we had such a
Obviously,
we had such
it's
a
fun to play the comedy role in a musical. I mean, that they can steal the show. I wish I
yeah.
could have
Well,
seen that.
it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. But you know I knew that there was a difference now between musical theater actors, straight play actors, and by straight plays, the non-musical, non-dancing, the
Mhm.
Mammoths, the Arthur Millers, the William Inges, the Ibsens,
Oh
which is
yeah.
which is where I gravitated toward. But you spent your time in New York and you were doing musical theater, or and you learned that you wanted to do this. At what point is it that you moved out to Los Angeles?
Well, after graduating and doing the Carowin stint, I moved to Atlanta.
Mhm.
I wasn't quite ready um, for LA. That was still a little daunting and
Yeah,
scary.
yeah,
And I wanted to stay close to my family, but I still wanted the big city. And there was a lot happening in Atlanta, and I knew people there. So I was there for a number of years and mostly doing theater,
right.
which was great in Atlanta. And then I finally got an agent, and they were doing lots of commercials then, not a whole lot of um, TV shows. There
Right,
were some movies, but
right. Atlanta and Georgia hadn't become what it is now in
yeah, the
terms of
second
production.
Hollywood.
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
I
exactly.
know.
Yeah. I'm
Did you?
living in one of those places now in New Mexico, Albuquerque, where I mean, Netflix is not too far away from me, and I think Universal and Sony and Warner Brothers all have a presence at various sound stages around town. So it very much feel. And when we were on because this, as you and I are recording this right now, hopefully by the time this airs, broadcasts, whatever streams, the strike will be settled. But the Screen Actors Guild is still very much on strike. So I was on
Right.
the picket lines in front of Netflix down here, and we had quite a turnout. And I should say, actually, now that I've let that yes, this show that we're on, that Judy and I are on right now, the Dave Bean is a C-List Actor podcast or Zoomcast, is also a SAG production, but it's not under the contract of one of the big shot producers. And I know this for a fact since I'm the producer, and I'm definitely not AMPTP, which is one of those folks. So we are in one of the productions that is permitted and encouraged
Right.
to go ahead and do that sort of thing. So
That's
I
good.
fell into like a legal trap where I felt like I had to, read the legalese at the bottom. But
Yeah.
anyway, so you're in Atlanta and you're acting, and did you book any commercials there?
Well, I was going to say that's kind of what I ended up doing was
Mhm.
theater and then commercials. I did
Okay.
a lot of that there.
Did you do like any of those crazy, like a crazy local commercial where you had, I mean, all commercials and commercial auditions are the weirdest strangest animal that there is? Did you book anything that you remember in terms of that, where you're like, I can't believe I had to, like I had to dress up like an, I don't know if it was for a commercial, but I had to put a complete electric razor suit on. It was like as if I was a mascot for a football team called the Electric Razors, but it was this
Oh,
giant electric razor, and all you saw were like my naked arms and legs running around the streets or whatever. Yeah, and one of my proudest moments.
I
So
bet.
I'll never forget that. Was there anything that did you ever do anything that you
They
recall?
didn't really picture me that way, I don't think.
I guess so. Yeah, I was
I-
kind of goofy. Still am a
I
little goofy.
I did have some cringeworthy ones. I think the first one I was something about divorce. I don't know if it was for a lawyer or something,
Right, right.
but they wanted me to cry the whole time. It was really
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I just kind of got through that one. But
Hang on for 1 second, Judy. Keep going. We're still rolling. I can hear you, but I've got some bizarre sound coming through one of my windows here. I'm gonna see if I can get rid of it. I think I did that. There we go. See that? Live,
oh yes,
like live TV,
I noticed you had some interesting stripes going on there.
Yeah. I didn't want anybody to think that I was still broadcasting from San Quentin. Yeah, that was, I'm a good boy
Yeah,
now.
that's still broadcasting for me.
But anyway, so no, never, but
Um,
so you did a divorced commercial,
yeah,
you know?
but my most memorable one was I was the whitewater mom one summer, which I was very excited about. That was a big deal because you remember water parks where there's slides and lazy
Oh, yeah,
river,
sure,
all that
sure,
stuff.
sure.
So I was very excited about that, even though it was April and the water was freezing and I was in the
Cold.
water all day mostly.
Yeah.
And I had something mortifying happen to me. In one of the first shots, I was in the raft getting ready to come down the water slide. And the director was right in front of me because he was going to get as I was leaving. And then I can't remember exactly. Somehow it was supposed to stop and then we would reset and stuff. Well, the first time as I'm going off, I come sliding off of the raft and the director is there. So I thought, oh, well, I'll just grab his leg and hold on and pull myself back. You know what happens next, right? So he and I both go sliding down, around and around.
That's great.
And he was all wet, and we both ended up in
Great.
the pool, and I was just mortified. I said, I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's
But he
great.
was so nice. I
That's
don't remember his name, but he was great.
that's
So,
okay. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's
yeah,
terrific.
that
Now,
was
now,
good.
now, when was it? And by the way, I just noticed also, I know that you and I talked, we prepped a little bit for this, but we didn't plan on wearing similar colored tops or, these are
I
kind of close,
noticed that.
kind of
Maybe,
great minds thinking alike or whatever.
could be. And, we've been married 3 times. So,
Yeah, which absolutely. And
well, one time you were just my alien lover.
I was your alien, yes, and it's okay. So actually, okay. So since you brought it up, do you mind? Can we skip to the part now where so you and I worked on what was the haunted house show, right? My Haunted House,
My
right?
haunted house, yes.
My Haunted House, which was on a Lifetime network show.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is so my recollection, and then I want to get your recollection, although I don't know, I don't want to influence yours, of when we very first met. Well, so tell me when was it that you first beheld this? You poor thing.
The bean.
When did you first, do you recall? Because I believe I have the specific where we were.
Well, you've already shown your memory is better than mine, Mr. Patty Duke expert.
Well,
So please
yeah, yeah.
tell me. I mean,
Okay, so my recollection is we were in, so we filmed, there were a couple of houses that we were using in the valley. Some were like, I don't know if it was like,
yeah, it was like a cul-de-sac and there
right,
were,
right,
yeah.
exactly. It was a cul-de-sac. So one of the houses, so whenever they were shooting at one house, they would use the other house kind of as like a base camp, and they'd set up makeup and wardrobe and keep the equipment over there. So when I showed up on my first day, I went upstairs. They said wardrobe and makeup is upstairs. I went upstairs, and I believe you were in the makeup chair of this bedroom, and there were like 3 or 4 other people in there. And I'm looking at the call sheet because I'm like, okay, so who is it that's going to play my wife in this thing? Hang on one second, another thing here. Sorry, it's allergy season in New Mexico, and
Oh,
it never stops. But I was used to all the LA stuff, but not the New Mexico stuff. But anyway, you were in the makeup chair. I don't know if you were getting made up at the time or if you were just relaxing in, those nice director style chairs or whatever. And I'm sure I looked at the call sheet, and then eventually, we got introduced, and I realized that, you were going to be playing my wife in this thing. And that's very often how it happens in film and television, is whether you're shooting a cable episodic show like Judy and I were shooting here, or whether it's, Marty Scorsese, and I can call him Marty since I've seen all of his movies.
of
But
course.
you don't get much, if any, rehearsal time on these things. And it's quite likely, as is the case with Judy and me, where you're going to play husband and wife with one another, but you've never met each other. And in an instant, you have to be able to portray that you've been married. In our case, I mean, it looked like we were probably married for like 20 or 15 or 20 years or something at that time. And so we met and talked. And the thing that I think, at least I'm gonna, at this point, I would just assume and hope that it either happened for you, or you're a much better actress than you are, which is great to begin with. But I just felt this the second we started talking. I thought, oh, this is great. This is my wife.
Yeah.
And we were downstairs in that kitchen, and I was making pancakes in the scene,
Mhm.
and you were with Aaron May.
Yes.
I can't, but you guys were in there, and she was telling you like one of the nightmare stories, and I was pretending to whip up pancakes. But anyway, I felt right at home, so.
Well, I felt the same way. I don't remember if I was in the makeup chair or not, but I just remember meeting you and thinking, wow, what a nice husband they've given me. So personable and fun. And I could see being married to him. And
Oh, that's
it
nice.
just made it so much easier and fun because, the matchups aren't always made.
Oh no. Oh no.
But
I've had you should see the ex-wives that I've had on camera who didn't make it to Mrs. Fitzgerald
oh,
that I was like, no. I am not going to be spending, all that time on set with somebody and have to, but
that's true. You do.
yeah, oh yeah. Well,
Think
that's
about
I am convinced. And I mean, I'm not the first. This is nothing that I just ascribe to this theory that even if you audition for something, and I know this has happened to me, where I've auditioned for something and I know that I wasn't quite right. Either my audition was terrible, or I felt like, oh, I'm just not right for that role. But because I had such a good rapport, if I was lucky enough to make it to the callback and I was with the director and or the producer, the production team, that we had so much fun in the room, that kind of like that play where I got a call back anyway, saying, and I know, and I do have a specific, but it's not important, where I got a call and they said, yeah, Dave, you're not right for the lead in this. we really did want like a real tall, waspy kind of guy. And you're an short East Coast Jewish guy. Not that not that we need to stay in our lanes, but at that point, the physical thing was very much part of the story. They said, but how would you like to play this role in the show? And I was like, absolutely. So, so it can certainly happen. It can certainly happen that way. But I do remember, I don't know, because I don't know how many days we shot on that show. Was it a couple, 1, 2, 3 day thing? I don't remember.
At least
But
two.
they banged yeah, I know it was at least 2, because they knocked those episodes out pretty quick, because they want to get them into post-production and do their magic in there. But it was either later on in the day that I met you or the next day, when I know that I was already pitching you a show idea that I had. I don't think it was Mrs. Fitzgerald, because that didn't come up yet. But it was something where I knew that I wanted you to be in a show that if I was going to be making a show, this was going to be the first show that I was going to be producing and or directing. I said, I got to get Judy in this show. Yeah. Because again, not only did you demonstrate the chops, the acting skills, but I was like, what a delight this woman would be to have on set.
Oh, thank you so much. So, well, feeling is mutual.
Well, I appreciate that, but it really is true. So you and I did My Haunted House, and then and then I was blessed enough to have you accept a role in my show, Mrs. Fitzgerald is Missing, which is still available on Amazon Prime. And thank you. Thank you for taking your time and spending this part of your day with me back there in Los Angeles, which is still my hometown, my main city.
I hope you'll be back.
Oh yeah. I hopefully once everything gets going again, I'll be back many times. But anyway, let's not make it this long before we get a chance to talk. Even just us kids on the phone. Okay, give my best to Bill, your wonderful husband, and I want to thank once again for our folks. This is Judy Clement. If you get a chance to see anything that she's been in, you'll be very fortunate, and as I was fortunate to work with her. So thank you, Judy. And I am now, as they do on Zoom, going to look for that the end of the Zoom button. But but it did work out. So you guys did great on your end of it, and we will talk soon. Okay. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Dave. Great to see you.
Great to see you. Bye-bye.